when you were with this person, when they decided to lose the weight and then go through that journey, and then maybe you had to, in so few words, change things about yourself to help them on that journey, make sacrifices yourself to help them on that journey.
Right.
And so then to see them maybe going back into something, you can be like, yo, you changed, and I had to decide if I was ready to change with you, and I did.
Ooh.
And now you're coming full circle like, no, you made me change. I had to keep you in mind when we went out to restaurants. I had to keep you in mind when we did this. Because remember, you and I are kind of going through that when I got the pre-diabetes thing. Hey, everyone. I'm Hallease, a storyteller and filmmaker.
And I'm Mr. Hallease, and I think that music genres are a construct.
Ooh, hot take. And this is a Stumblewell podcast, a couple that you know, kind of, talking about marriage and relationships and life and honestly, whatever, really.
But I still have bad musical taste. Roll the bad music.
Oh, you don't like
no, I meant like, oh.
That's a fun little aside.
That's not what I meant. I meant because I like bad music, I was just referencing or describing the music as bad, but I like the music.
Oh, okay.
You may also hear clicking on and off throughout this episode. It's because we're making dinner, multitasking.
Yeah.
So the oven is clicking on and off, but just imagine like it's saying hello.
Yeah.
Or signaling to you desperately to help it. Do not answer its call.
It's the oven. That's what it is.
Don't listen. Anyway.
Yeah. So today's episode
is
about...
We're an improv troupe now.
You just did it, so I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that.
I just wanted to be included.
Oh, okay, cool. Today's episode is a Dear Stumblewell episode because one of y'all sent us an email, which, by the way, if you ever want to get solicited advice from the two people that are not registered therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, anything, just two people on the internet that are married. If you want to get our advice, you can by sending an email to hello@Stumblewell with the subject line, Dear Stumblewell, and then whatever you want. They stay anonymous, but we will answer the call on the episode. So that's what we're doing today. We're answering an email.
We are two people with nothing to show for ourselves, nothing to our names.
Right.
In this instance.
Yeah.
But opinions.
100%.
And we are dangerous with them.
Yeah, just vibes over here.
It's like handing a kid a stick. It's like, just go wild.
Yeah. So.
Everything becomes a piñata to that kid. And so.
Yeah, it's so.
Oh, and Hallease has not read the entire message.
I haven't.
So this is a surprise. I forgot that I did and then reacted and thought, no, I'm just going to push this away. And now I reread it and I'm reacting again. And I don't know how to respond. So it's going to be great. I'm referring to this person as longtime listener.
Okay.
Because they do identify themselves as a longtime listener of yours back to your hair tutorial days.
Whoa, that's OG. Because I don't really even be on the internet like that anymore.
Or we can call them G. What do you want to call them?
I mean, long-time listener sounds cool.
Well, I was going to call them LTL.
LTL. Oh, nice.
Okay.
I like that.
It's your listener, and it needs to be respectful. So.
Aw.
LTL.
Yeah.
So LTL writes, Dear Stumblewell, how do you broach the topic of a partner's weight? Specifically, a partner who used to be very overweight, but has lost the weight and is trying to maintain it, but is slipping up. I fear the person ballooning back to their previous weight and wonder if my love is conditional or if this is actually a boundary and expectation that I can express for them to maintain their health and weight as I would for them. Hopefully this makes for a juicy podcast episode.
Not juicy.
Ooh. First off, LTO, are you insinuating that I was not watching my weight? Because you would be right. Many points in the marriage. and was told so.
We did an episode on this.
Did we? But we did an episode in passing. Or was it entirely on this?
It was entirely, I think the episode title is called He Called Me Pudgy. Something like that.
She said it first, though.
And that is the point you made in the
Yep.
original episode, I think.
And I did what you asked.
I did ask you. So this is hard.
There is a lot of very charged language
Yeah.
in the message. So I think I don't want to go too much into LTL's mindset.
Yeah.
Because clearly they are still grappling with this.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts are, if there's something about your partner that you don't agree with or is bothering you, you do need to figure out a way to communicate that to them, regardless of what it is.
That said,
There
will be tears.
Yeah, that said, it is so hard to bring something like this up, speaking from experience, to bring something like this up to a partner.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to go great, but it is a truth like you have to acknowledge, you know?
Beep, 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 beep.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening / watching this Dear Stumblewell episode of the Stumblewell podcast. A few quick announcements, the main one being, y'all, Costa Rica group trip. You should come. It's super dope. August 24th through the 30th, myself and Mr. Hallease will be in Costa Rica, and we would love for you to come too.
Walking, coffee, maybe rainforests, definitely beaches, turtles, maybe.
Yeah, the itinerary is super dope, is basically what he was saying. We're going to 2 national rainforests, we're going to 2 national parks in Costa Rica. We're going to see turtle nesting in Costa Rica. What else are we doing? We're going snorkeling. What else? Oh, we're going to like traverse in the waterways and stuff. It's crazy. Link to the trip is in the show notes / the description box / the Eye of Sauron. It's everywhere. As of recording this, we have 7 people. Yes. Hi, 7 people. As of recording this, we have 7 people. So that leaves math. 13 spots left. So yeah, if you've been thinking about going to Costa Rica, but was like, I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you think like, I want to go to a destination, but like you don't know who you want to go with or like how, or you don't want to have to try to think about planning it all yourself. That's the thing about this trip. Everything's planned. You're paying and everything's planned. You just need to get there.
It'll be vibes. And
it will be vibes.
If you are creatively minded.
Oh, right. I forgot. And I'm just like, Costa Rica, want to come. And if you are creatively minded, I am setting aside time to do optional workshops. If you're not creatively minded, you don't have to do them. But 2 optional workshops as well. One is a storytelling workshop, and then the other is a journaling workshop that we'll do together on the first night. So, and I want to do like merch and stuff too. I'm making it real cool. Anyway, that's the trip. Check it out. We would love to have you in Costa Rica with us, August 24th through the 30th this year. Okay, so that's the first announcement. It's really dope. Second announcement, if you're listening to us, if you're watching us here on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. This really helps us out algorithmically. It makes it easier for us to get found so other people can watch the podcast here. And then if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcast, thank you so much for listening. Please rate us on that platform. 5 stars is preferred, but we stand constructive criticism just as much as the next person. You know, just be constructive with your feedback. If you want to take things a step further, though, 2 options there. 1, join the Patreon, patreon.com/Hallease. There you will get early access to these podcast episodes, exclusive content, merch, so much more. It's a good time. But if you can't handle having another subscription, I completely understand. Buy us a coffee. Ko-fi.com/Hallease.
Coffee.
Coffee.com/Hallease.
COFI.
Yeah, it's KO-FI.
Y'all making this hard.
.com/Hallease. Hallease. And a few people have bought us coffee. Did you know that? I
No.
told you.
Did you? Oh,
It's like 7 people.
thank you.
Yeah, super dope. Thank
That's
y'all.
almost an entire week of Hallease's coffee.
I know. I've gotten a lot of y'all, and there's my favorite coffee shops like a few blocks from us, and I literally go every day, so it's been delightful. Thank you for paying for my coffee. Anyway, yeah, but buy us a coffee with the website.
Back to the podcast.
Yeah, back to the podcast.
It's hard
Yeah.
because when Hallease first told me that I was bordering pudgy, I don't even remember what my weight was.
You
Was
had
it-
gotten
was I
pretty
close to, like,
high.
170?
Yeah, you gotten pretty up there. It wasn't sitting well.
Or was I
on you.
180?
Oh man,
I was kissing.
it
I
was.
was on 180
Yeah. I think-
either at the beginning of our relationship or at that point. And I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. You were pretty thick, which is saying. And
Are we trying not to say the F word or?
no, because
I'll say fluffy.
yeah.
Medically fluffy.
Medic-
I was real fluffy.
You were fluffy.
I was Build-A-Bear.
Which is saying something, because I think for anyone who's watching / listening to the podcast, I think knowing our races is important, because culturally how we define what overweight
Fluffy,
is or
right.
fluffy is completely different. So me as a person of African descent, you actually got to be really fluffy for me to really think you're fluffy, because we've looked at people before and you've been like, that person's kind of fluffy, and I see them but yeah, I think culturally, what's considered fluffy between the two of us is
Right.
very different. So for me to then say to you, you're getting kind of fluffy, it was he was getting pretty fluffy.
Right. Also, I mean, look at my wrist though, right?
Yeah.
It's like a child's wrist. Imagine a chihuahua and you grab its paw and it's, just tendon, sinew and bone. And that's what my wrist looks like. But it's where were you fluffy? You weren't holding it anywhere else. And I was,
Yeah. It was
genetically, the programming,
Yeah.
I was going to say some jerk, but I think that jerk may have been God. No, it's whatever, helixy
Sure.
DNA, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all comes to the midsection. And it's
does.
still riding in the midsection. It's nowhere else in my body.
Yeah. That's
Just in the
genetics,
midsection.
bro.
What
That's
do you call
genetics
that?
for you.
What's that body type or body shape? Not pear.
Apple.
It's apple. But I think of an apple and it's like,
I think it's apple. But you're also talking about this. Usually that body shape is associated, they use it to define women who are like that, not really men.
oh, so, okay,
Yeah.
got it. So there's a way to describe it and shame women. But for men,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, I mean,
You're
I'm
just
just,
a dude. I don't know.
right. Well, now it's like dad bod,
Sure. Yeah.
which is hard because once you hit over 33, once you get past 35, it's like, yes.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I have no child.
To blame it on.
And I don't think that matters as a man.
No.
As a cis man, actually, maybe not even cis, as any man, it's just, that's just the body that you have. And then good luck trying to get it off.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I don't know. I guess we're getting off topic, but
Yeah.
it's hard to talk about. I think you should. Here's what I'll say. I do think you should talk to them about it, because it's obviously something that's bothering you, and it's hindering aspects of communication, and potentially you don't want it to get to the point where you're not communicating about that, and that's leading to a lack of intimacy and things like that. If you're
Right.
starting to fall out of attraction with that person, you can't hide those things, I feel. So gotta talk about it. What I will say though is you really do need to think about the language you're going to use to talk about it. Cannot be accusatory, because what are they going through? We also don't know what this partner that they have is going through. Like, are they depressed right now? Has there been a lot of bad things that have, like, so much, like, your body responds so much to the stressors of life, you know? That, and we just don't know enough based on what they wrote. Like, what are they going through? Are they going through anything? Has there been deaths in the family? Are they grieving? Like, there's just so much that it could be. Like, I know for me, it was like, I just kind of let myself go. I think a lot of people let themselves go in 2020, you know? And it was actually like leading into 2020 that I was like, oh, yeah, I am getting, you had mentioned like, you're getting kind of fluffy. And I was like, am I? And it was like, no, yeah, things don't fit. But I realized it was because, yeah. But then I realized that like, part of me was thinking like, oh, I'm just aging. And like, this is the weight you gain with aging.
Right.
When in reality,
Well, there's truth to it, but
there is like truth to that. You do kind of gain a little bit more as you get older. Or
not
whatever.
kind of. You do.
Okay.
I've found, at least that's my lived truth as well.
But I also was realizing like, in part because of the pandemic, I wasn't eating very well. Just like I was eating, what are those? Remember the cake in a cups? I was having like a cake in a cup every night, but then not coupling that with any real movement through the day or anything. You know, just all the
Right.
things. So yeah. So that's my rebuttal is you should talk about it, but you need to figure out neutral language and you need to not be accusatory as much as possible.
I'm still trying to like structure my thoughts and my arguments.
Okay.
The partner, or in reference to the partner, where are they happiest? Are they happy when the way their body looks now?
Ooh, that's a good thing to yeah.
Were they happy when they were overweight? But I don't know why they lost the weight, and now it seems like they're starting to gain it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. To your point, what's the reasoning behind it? So there could be a reason. Maybe the partner doesn't see it. Maybe the partner does see it and needs some confirmation. Maybe they don't. It's not they don't care, or maybe they don't care, but maybe they're okay with it or what have you. So that's the one thing, right? I think some folks may throw the label out of shallow at LTL because this may be the breaking point for her.
Wow.
And I think that's fine.
Oh.
I think there's a lot of pressure. Then the expectation is, for till death do you part, right?
Yeah.
If you are married in a Christian church or whatever. But yeah, so like the expectation is that you love somebody unconditionally, but that's not true.
Yeah, I don't think that's true either. I know it's supposed to be unconditional, but like low key, we all have conditions. Like,
I mean, my spouse killed like 50 people.
But that's my man. I'm gonna stay beside him.
Right.
Like, no, no. Or on the flip side, my spouse beats me, and it's like,
Right.
leave that. You know,
No,
conditions.
But it's a no, and it's again, we're not going to get into that, but it's
Yeah.
like, no, firmly, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's fine. Your love can, and it's not that your love is conditional. It's just that if you feel the way that you feel, and you never come around to your spouse's thinking, and you feel like they are hurting themselves,
Yeah, sure.
and that's one thing. But even if you just feel like, wow, I'm not sexually attracted to this person anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fake that. Like, I mean, you can, I guess, but it's like, what kind of life is that? You know?
No, I mean, it's hard.
And it's also like, I'm curious now. I am curious to know too, like, yeah, what is happening? Like, did y'all have any major movements and things like that? Or again, I keep coming back to grief. I don't know why. I think in the past with other friends and colleagues where I've seen their weight fluctuate, it was because of some form of grief that they were going through, whether it was a death in the family or the ending of a relationship or, just some variation of that. And so when I've seen weight gain happen, that's usually what it's been tied to. So that's why I kind of keep coming back to it.
Well, I also don't know. We don't know the gender or
Right, yeah.
whatever they identify as of the spouse, because they may just be genetically predisposed, aside from gender, but they may just be genetically predisposed at this point in their life to start regaining weight. Because if you are as big as you are, and that's why on those shows, like The Biggest Loser or whatever,
Yeah.
they had drastic transformations. They were doing a lot for their bodies, and they, were following really restrictive really restrictive diets.
Yeah.
And they had, good results for what they wanted, right?
Sure.
But then as soon as they stopped,
Right.
and your body just shifts back, because what was their baseline? Their baseline for the longest time was,
Right.
hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
And the body, again, is very efficient. Mm-hmm. If you cut back on the gas and it's like, well, we're going to maintain the speed. So we're going to go on, like, we can run on fumes practically. And we're fine. So your weight will just keep hovering.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's so much there. It's such a short explanation, and yet there's so much. I think unfortunately the hot take is that love is conditional, whether we want to admit it or not. It is. And I think there's also we all go through different versions of partners as well. And so it sounds like this partner is into a new version of themselves that the other partner or LTL is now having to decide, am I on board? Am I on board with this version of this person? Thankfully, for the most part, we've been through different versions of each other. And for the most part, it's always been like, I'm on board with this person with an asterisk. You know what I mean? If there was an issue, it's like with a little bit of an asterisk on that, And it's like the times where we almost separated and things like that. But
I mean, just to play devil's advocate, because it's my favorite profession.
I don't know why he'd be advocating for the devil. I don't know why.
I mean,
but go on.
Lucy's okay. Cut that out. But what if I was getting fluffier?
Yeah.
And then you told me.
Yeah.
And I said so.
Ooh. There's so much to unpack with that.
Well, I mean, we've already said that love is conditional. So, I mean, if we ended up breaking up, then that would be understandable.
Would it be understandable? I don't know. I mean,
we just said it was okay.
We did just say, it's one thing to say something's okay, then there's another thing to live through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but so let's say,
because if people ask, so why did you end your marriage after, I don't know, 12 years or whatever? He just really got fat and he would not do anything about it.
Yeah, but so ultimately I want to tie in LTL.
Okay.
Oops, I just hit my cable, but I want to tie in LTL to this, because what's underpinning that? What is the base foundation of that feeling? It's like, oh, he gained a lot of weight and he wouldn't turn it, you want to lose it.
Yeah.
Was it because you didn't find him attractive anymore? Was it because you felt like you were doing what was in his best interest and he didn't care? He thought he was doing what was in his best interest?
Yeah.
Well, that would be the thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Because if I gained 300 pounds,
whoa,
then.
Yeah.
And you told somebody, yeah, he gained 300 pounds and didn't want to do nothing.
I think it would be hard for me. So here's okay. I think for me, that's so much. Also, that's so much. So much. It's hard when you throw out a scenario like that, because in my mind, I try to make it be believable. And to my immediate thought is always all the things that have happened beforehand to get you to that point, and we have not talked or had some intervention. You know what I'm saying? So it's how did we get to you being 300 pounds, first of all? Make it make sense to me so I can actually put myself in that space. Mm-hmm. But I guess for me, it would be more on the surface. It would be, yeah, I'm not attracted to you because that's incredibly heavy and it doesn't make any sense for you to be in all the body positivity of it all. It does not make sense for you to be 300 pounds heavier than you are. However, I think the thing underneath that would be why, like, if this person isn't willing to take care of themselves, never mind for me, but just for themselves, you know, how can you do anything with me, for me? Like, are we in a relationship anymore? Like, I don't understand, you know?
But what if it's not negative?
Okay.
Like, I mean, we can cut this if you want, but
Sure.
there's a Lizzo argument, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm like 250, my dad was 250 at one point. 250, 300 pounds.
He's also tall, though.
When he was 18, when he was younger.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you think that his frame can support it.
Yeah.
But so mine can probably support a good amount. Anyway, but Lizzo is her size.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if I didn't have high cholesterol, then what? You know what I mean?
Oh, so you're basically saying, like, if you were a heavier person, but it wasn't impacting you actually,
Right.
like health-wise.
At least not in any meaningful way.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, if it wasn't, yeah, because, like... Yeah.
If it could not be quantified by lab results or even qualified by, you know, oh, my knees hurt, my hips hurt, or anything like that. No symptoms.
Yeah. You're not diabetic or anything crazy.
Right.
Yeah, would I be, like, mad? Is that the question?
Well, no, so would you have the same feelings? Because, so your argument from like 2 or 3 minutes ago was, well, he refused to do something for himself, so I was like, oh, okay, well, what if it's not for himself? What if it's just...
It's just for me.
He feels fine. He's got no problems.
Yeah.
Medicine gives the sign of the cross, and they're like, you're fine.
Yeah. I think for me, then I would have to just figure myself out. Then it becomes truly about, like, well, then you need to figure yourself out. Like, do you find this person attractive now in this new form? Which would be tough, I think. That would be that would be hard to figure out. Because also the baseline of our relationship isn't like, and this is not me trying to say you're ugly or anything, but the baseline of our relationship wasn't physical attraction for me. I know for me it was friendship. So I would be having to call into question, are you willing to, like, lose your best friend because they don't look the same way anymore? And I don't know. That I don't know.
Well, so then let's not use a stereotypically negative body state.
Okay.
Let's say that I'm like 135. So I'm like lean.
Yeah.
But I've just lost most of the external fat.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to fight, which would be stupid at 36. Like I would
sure.
just die. But so it's either that or I'm like, you know, maybe 165, 170, but it's muscle. Mm-hmm. So it's just like really into it, you know, little veins popping.
Yeah, you're getting a little swelt.
You like
swelt.
Touch me and the muscle like
spasms.
Well, it just like it argues.
Yeah. Sure.
Like a rat. Or because you've told me like, well, I don't want you, you know, too hard, too muscular, because then you go to lay your sweet head and
and I'm like, ow.
It's like a rock, like a cinder block.
Why does this hurt? I thought you left me. Yeah.
But so I think that I'm doing well for myself. Mm-hmm. There's no problem.
Right.
I'm not achieving liver failure because I'm taking unknown supplements.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, would I be okay with that?
Well, no, just but you don't think I look as good as I do now.
Sure. Okay.
Or you don't appreciate what my body looks like at that point.
Right.
But by all measures, myself, the way I perceive myself externally from other people, they're like, oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's not necessarily I get what you're saying. That's not necessarily like a direct comparison. But
I look different.
You would look different.
You don't like the way I look.
I don't, but I mean, I'm not leaving you because you got jacked. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't seem like the thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would pose the question back to you because when we first moved here, I was really hitting the gym. I don't know if you remember. And I was getting like pretty like strong looking. Like my arms were getting pretty big. Genetically, I will say if I go to the gym consistently, I just look, no.
You don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. Because what was it? You do like 5 push-ups
and
a
everything's
day
swollen
over 3 days,
Yeah.
and your shoulders are already bigger than
yeah
mine.
they start like just building up. I just yeah, if I am relatively consistent about working out, the muscle stays and like shows visibly on me. And so I know when we first moved here, I was starting to look pretty toned and like muscular.
Well, you asked me,
I did.
do I look too masculine? And I was like, no.
Yeah, I feel like I do start to look pretty masculine when I'm like hitting the gym seriously with gusto.
And
I mean, it doesn't bother me, but like, yeah.
Well, so first off, it's not like I'm attracted to like masculine looking people or masculine looking women.
Sure.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but like that's not even what it is. To me, it was like, you don't really look that different. Yeah, you have a lot of definition, and I can appreciate that. It wasn't that I was ignoring it or oblivious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't bother me.
It's so fascinating.
I do think fluffiness does bother me over time,
Yeah.
because then you start to not look similar to looking at yourself in the mirror, right? Like the way that I perceive you in my mind is not the way that I'm perceiving you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a conflict in your head. It's like, oh, okay, well, they don't look like how I remember them. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But so I was just trying to be, yeah, because I mean, when someone says, oh, you got fluffy, and it's like, yeah, of course, universally, people do not like if you get fluffy.
Yeah.
That's the whole Ozempic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the stigma with that. So I was just trying to say, well, what if I got, like just super lean?
If you got super lean, okay, so I remember when I first met you, when we first started dating, you were very lean. It was because you didn't realize you couldn't process gluten. So like that was like the thing. But I don't think you realized that when we first actually started dating romantically after we were already friends. Did you know that was why I kept cooking for you so much? Because I was like, I need to put some weight on this dude.
That was like a weird dip that I had.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the Bachelor diet. Might have been.
I know part of it was you were, and see, full circle, grief. You and I think Shababa, I think that's what I had been calling her and other stuff. Shababa.
Beelzebub?
You and Shababa had like ended things in not the best way and all that kind of stuff. And I think you like just dipped a little bit.
Yeah, mental, and again, emotionally.
Yeah.
There was a tie when I broke up with Ursula.
Stop it.
We'll keep this. This is the thing. This will be the joke. Keep this in.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I just remember, yeah, you were pretty thin, love.
Yeah, I remember. I think I might have dipped down to 135.
Yeah, you were pretty.
Might have been 140, but yeah.
You were a pretty thin dude.
But so, didn't bother you then, but if I had stayed that way.
Well, it bothered me. It did bother me, though.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing was, it bothered me, but instead of being like, you need to fix yourself, I did the Virgo thing.
Right.
And I was like, I'll fix him. He just needs food. And so I just kept making you food.
But did you eat, though?
Which you appreciated.
And you made me meals that I had never made.
Yeah. But it was
pork ribs, the thing that we are having tonight.
The thing is so full circle on this podcast, yeah.
You no longer make them for me. I make them for for us.
Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to fatten you up when we first met. But again, that comes back to the cultural differences. Because like I think outwardly probably like anybody white or just like other Latinos probably as well. No, because San Antonio. So you were small by San Antonio standards.
I was small by
too.
almost any standard.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just kind of like, yo.
Well, that's why you say like culturally, it's like, well, no, it's just that I think the Hispanics appreciate lean forms. We just know that it's not achievable. I don't know if I can speak for all my people.
Sure.
But it's like, yeah, we like them curvy and this and that.
Y'all like approachable curviness. That's the ideal. Approachably curvy. which I think we will cut this out, but I think this is why I, like, in my singleness and into dating you, most of the men that came up to me were other Latino men because I was approachably curvy and petite. Like, I'm short, so.
I'm just saying. Actually, what am I saying? But yeah, I don't know if the cultural difference is that. Oh no, it is still different. Unfortunately, my culture still maintains a similar body habitus as yours.
Yeah, but the ideal for your culture is that
right.
You covet more leanness,
Right.
a little bit. Like,
it is not owned. So I mean, our reality is not what we want.
right.
We would still prefer to be. Sorry, my alarms are going off. But we would still prefer to be slimmer, fitter, whatever.
More Eurocentric-y.
But then it becomes part of that mentality. Sorry, and we're going off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it becomes that mentality of like, oh, but you're like super thin, huh? It's like, yeah, I'm just not that big. Yeah, but I don't know, man. And it's like, but there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
For all my life as a kid,
Yeah.
when I was admittedly a little bit on the leaner side, or skewing towards the like 5th percentile and BMI, yeah, everyone was like, oh, he needs to eat. He needs to eat. He needs to eat.
Yeah.
So I can see, and in my head, it's still a problem. Like, I don't like to be perceived, like being perceived large is new for me. Dealing with excess body fluff, that's new for me. So I'm like working with that because I'm like, wait, I wanted to be thin for the longest time. And now I can't do that. I can do it, but I have to be training for a marathon or really cut back on food, which we're already doing. And my body's adjusted.
Yeah.
I'm no longer losing.
Oh, yeah. For context, y'all, we're participating in Lent. We're fasting for Lent. So,
But it's not the Catholic Lent.
it's like we're like genuinely fat. Like, we're borderline Ramadan in it. Borderline.
It's intermittent fasting.
Yeah, intermittent. It's basically, in so few words.
No, it's pretty much
100%.
I'm treating it in my mind like intermittent fasting. If it's beyond 4 o'clock, then I'm snacking.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
So yeah. But yeah, intermittent fasting, dip and weight, and now it's plateauing again because the body is
Adjusting.
But
it's also, and I would just push back on like your body's plateauing to like, oh, okay, cool. This is like running efficiently at this. So it's not that it's plateauing in a way that's like, oh no, I'm not losing more weight. It's just like, no, yeah, okay. So if you decide to live this way, here's what your body is, like,
right.
And that's it. So yeah.
But for me, running, sorry, and again,
we'll figure
tangent,
out.
but running for me is like everything like leeches off my body.
What's also really interesting though, and this is another aside, but what was really interesting for you to see with you was like how you kind of had a little bit of body dysmorphia with that.
Oh, I'm pretty much never outgrew the body dysmorphia because of the childhood.
Yeah.
You don't look right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I don't look right. And then even now it's like, I don't look right. You're like, you
Yeah.
look great. You look fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't. Do I?
It is very strange. I'm glad that I had the mindset to like take pictures of you because when you were training for the marathon, you got pretty, like you shrank at first. And then as you started doing more speed runs and things like that, the muscles came because you were pushing, and you were eating to compensate so you could get enough protein to do it. Because, you had your run goals for like your finish times and stuff. And so I'm glad like towards the end of it, I started taking like a picture of you without a shirt on, like once a month or so, to where by the end I had like 3 or 4 photos of you towards the end of the training. And I was like, I purposely brought up like, oh, how do you feel like you look and stuff? Because I knew you didn't think you looked good. And then I was like, ha. And I like pulled up all the photos and you were like, oh. And I was like, yeah, you need to break that mirror wall and like see it in something else,
But this is why the age of Ozempic is problematic, is because in the age of the internet, where you can, and this was almost always the case with billboards and classically women, because, the thin ideal was always plastered front and center. And so you were always comparing yourself. And now it's not just women anymore. Now it's men, because men, if you want to be insert body type, more muscular, more fit, more whatever, then it's right in front of you. And so everybody has dysmorphia on some level.
Yeah.
Body dysmorphia specifically.
It does seem that way, that everyone's kind of like internally having to constantly grapple with it. Whether even if you probably have the most like socially considered the most socially ideal shape, figure, whatever, you're still like, well, what if I trim this off? What if I, you know?
Well, and you're specifically there because you have it.
Right.
So do you see that your body is the way that you want it to be? Or do you still see yourself as like, yeah, but it's not right yet?
Yeah.
Because then you're chasing metrics. And I was watching, I forget his name, but it's like a fitness YouTuber, and he like does things that maybe aren't that great for his body. So like gains weight, loses weight.
Yeah.
Tries to lose as many calories as he can. And it's like, this isn't that good for you. And so he made a video a couple weeks ago about body fat. He's like, everyone's chasing 0% body fat. First of all, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
You will not ever exist without fat in your body. Secondly, how do you calculate that?
Right.
And any number of ways that you can think up, like the calipers, the electric resistance test, I think. Yeah. Well, I mean, those are especially not accurate, but even like, you know, the scientific or the whatever ones that you go to a clinic to use. None of them are accurate.
Where they do your bone density, like they give you all the things, I was thinking about getting one of those just because I was curious, but yeah.
But it is, again, based on electrical. So it's an algorithm within this scale that is just shooting electricity and seeing what the resistance is of it coming back. And then it's like, well, your bone density is probably this. Your fat percentage is probably this. Your blah is probably whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize it was an algorithm.
I mean, and each manufacturer is going to have its own.
Yeah.
So again, the differences in the way that it's being measured, and then also the differences in the way that it's being calculated. It's all like a crapshoot. Mm-hmm. So you're really shooting for like 5% body fat, 4% body fat, no body fat.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you feel? His point was, how do you feel about yourself?
Yeah.
So he did a challenge in December where he gained like a lot of weight just to see if he could maintain the fitness or whatever.
So like just be heavier and have more fat, but still be as physically capable,
right,
as like the more ideal version of him is.
And
okay,
then
got you.
Here's a hint: he also has body dysmorphia and eating issues, so he has bulimia. Well, I mean, I think it's he binges.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I can also binge, but there's a point where I stop, and for him, he can just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so he also has his own demons that he's dealing with, and frequently he relapses. And so he's very, upfront and blah, blah, blah. But to the point, you can't just keep shooting for nothing, shooting for like perfect.
Right.
You should just go for how you feel. And then again, if there is a medical reason, you should be doing it for your health.
Right.
So to go back to LTL.
Yeah.
Because she or they, LTL did mention whether her love for their spouse was conditional, or if the spouse should just be doing it because LTL thinks that she's doing it for the spouse's health. I think I was a little bit roundabout in that explanation, but how does LTL feel? Does she actually think that by being thinner or being less fluffy that they're being healthy? Or is it because she doesn't like the way that they look? I think, and it's fine if it's one or the other or both.
Yeah.
But I think you can't hide behind the medical reasoning.
Yeah.
Because that's a classical thing from like 5-10 years ago, before body acceptance really started picking up in the medical field. Mm-hmm. So now if you have a good doctor, a well-read doctor, they'll say, okay, I mean, you're big enough, but we can help you with diet or exercise. You don't have prediabetes. We can work with you.
Yeah, like your blood levels are fine. Everything looks good. Like, I mean, you're just a bigger person. But
right. Do you exercise at all? Yeah. No, I don't really have time for exercise. Make some time.
Yeah, okay. Well, then, maybe like, try to do these walks. Try to do whatever.
No, I think I want the Ozempic. And you see the documentation, or you see them in the doctors saying in medical journals, like, yeah, what am I going to do? Because they want this, and it is going to be good for them, or it's going to help them mentally. It's going to help them accept their bodies, but it's just like it's a shortcut, and also it's not the magic bean.
Right.
It's not the quicksilver bullet that everyone thinks that it is. Because once you stop the Ozempic, guess what comes back?
Right. It all comes back.
It all comes back. And then also when you're on the Ozempic, or Trulicity, or I forget, no, Trulicity is diabetic, but Ozempic and whichever other medications there are like it, it affects the brain. And we don't know how it affects the brain, because some people take it and they no longer want to drink alcohol. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because some people take it and it affects the pathway of satiety, or telling you that you're full. So you no longer want to eat, and then you no longer want to drink alcohol, and then you no longer want to do like some other things. Sexual function is also impacted in some folks.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of side effects. And if you come off the Ozempic, the assumption is that the side effects will go away, but they don't necessarily. So Ozempic is not the thing that you should be doing if you are trying to lose weight. It can help you. It can help you for a period of time. It can help you for the rest of your life if you choose to be on it. But there are, as with everything, side effects.
Yeah.
But with LTL, if she, I keep saying she, I keep gendering them, but if she does feel like she does not like the way that her spouse looks, then it's okay to deal with the side effect of potentially losing that spouse.
Yeah. It's also, I think it is something that LTL needs to figure out for themselves first.
Right.
Before approaching them.
Exactly. Before approaching the other person.
Yeah. Before approaching them. And then also I think a way to approach them, because I do think you should approach them eventually. Like, you can't let this ride. I don't think. But I think the way you can approach them is to be like, how do you feel? Asking the partner, how do you feel about your body? Because then it's more focused on them. And then it also gives LTL more clarity. Because if they say, to your point, if they say like, yeah, I feel healthy, I feel fine, I feel whatever, then it's kind of like everything you feel is kind of irrelevant. Not irrelevant per se, but it like...
I don't think it's any less valid.
Yeah.
But they can no longer lean on the reasoning of, I'm doing it for you.
Yeah.
They're doing it for themselves, which again is fine.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like in the same way that you can, like if you're, well, actually, no, we've talked about this and you don't agree. Because remember, I was thinking about shaving my head or like just doing all these other things. And I remember before I did eventually buzz my head once, but I kept asking like, but what about if I do it? Are you going to, what are you gonna? Because I mean, in truth, you're the only person I'm trying to impress physically, So like, I'm going to take your opinion into consideration, and you were just like, I don't know, it's your head. Do what you want. I think in some ways this can fall under that as well. In some ways,
I think it does.
Okay,
yeah. But I do agree that, and I think we are in agreement that LTL needs to not hide behind anything.
Yeah.
Because whatever is a true reason for them wanting to say something to their spouse, it's fine.
Right.
Whether it is because they don't find them sexually appealing anymore, sexually attractive, maybe the other person can't perform sex anymore. Again, we're assuming.
We're going all into the deep end there.
Whichever decision or whichever reason they stand on, it's fine and it's valid. The spouse may not think so, but it is valid. Yeah,
because it's like, it's your reason. Like,
right.
And you have to, I think that's the thing that's the hardest for, like, in the same way that people talk about like, oh, my partner has brought out the best in me. Your partner also, being with someone long term, forces you to come to terms with the ways that you kind of suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and everyone kind of sucks. Like, everybody kind of sucks about something.
Yes. Not even kind of. Everybody sucks about something.
About something. Like, everyone is shallow about something. And, like, a lot of times you don't realize what that thing is, or things, until you're in a committed long-term
Right.
relationship. And like the honeymoons of like lustful attraction go away, and you are at that base layer of like, I've smelled your farts and you've smelled my farts, and I know your poop schedule, you know my poop schedule, like all
There's
the
a
things.
lot of GI related things. My ears are burning.
No, I'm trying to think of other stuff, like, you know, when I'm menstruating. I don't know. It's just like stuff.
It's like, I'm trying to think of other things, but that's the only thing I can think about for some reason. It's the only thing I can smell.
Or it's just like, the other day I was realizing like, and I guess we can wrap this up, but the other day I was realizing like, oh yeah, I mean, being in a committed relationship is knowing that like, I know what I could say to you that could just really trigger you and like really mess you up. Like I know what childhood things I could bring up, like what things people, like your parents have said to you that messed you up, and like I could really fuck your shit up. You know what I mean? But vice versa, like, you know, things you could say to me that would really like put me under the rug and like really question like the validity of anything I'm doing. And it's like, that's the thing about marriage. Like everyone has nuclear codes, and like you have to like
Not use them.
them.
What is it? It's there's a term for it, but it's not mutual avoidance, but it's mutual destruction. Assumed mutual destruction.
Okay.
Something to that effect of like, well, you know, if you use it, then everyone else is going to use it, so you won't exist anymore.
Right.
But I really want to push that button.
Right. And so I think, because like,
Mutually assured destruction. Got it.
okay. So I think the thing I'm trying, I guess like another way of saying the point I'm trying to make is like, in the wording, there was a lot of chargedness
Right.
of like, and they aren't doing it. And I know, like, and it sounds like you're thinking about all the things about this person that you maybe know that you could say to them that you're using under the guise of like, oh, take care of yourself or whatever. When
Right.
really it's just like, no, you're just digging into them.
And I was going to say, what about this situation is making LTL the least ideal version of themselves?
Yo, yeah,
Because
sure.
how many microaggressions are coming out?
Yeah.
You're like, well, I really wish you would eat a salad. Or I mean,
Right.
nothing even to that extent, maybe, but
Like, you're getting seconds.
Right.
Oh, you're doing, you know, like all.
you want to go eat out again? Are you
again?
sure?
Yeah.
Or, you know, digging or bringing it up. And we're assuming
Yeah.
that
We're just throwing out scenarios.
because you're in this situation and you're not happy, it's going to come out.
Yeah, I think and that's why I keep coming back to, as you have as well, of like, you need to talk to them, because you can't dance. Everyone likes to think they can dance around and be passive aggressive, but again, it's passive aggressive. Like you're just not confronting the issue, and like, you know, you just gotta be real and just do it.
Yeah, but I feel like if I can read into the messaging of that email, this really sterile email, but it seems like they know and they're going to do it themselves. They were just giving us fodder, which again, we appreciate.
Sure.
But I hope and I wish them well that they know how to address it with their partner.
Yeah.
Like, because they already know that it bothers them because
Yeah.
they did have a lot of weight and they did lose it. So.
And I get that it's like you're on a journey. Like if you were with that person when they decided to make that decision to be healthier and then lose the weight, like
Again,
that was a whole.
We're not talking about being healthy.
Right.
Necessarily. We're trying not to use those labels.
No, yeah, you're right. So when you were with this person, when they decided to lose the weight and then go through that journey, and then maybe you had to, in so few words, change things about yourself to help them on that journey, make sacrifices yourself to help them on that journey.
Right.
And so then to see them maybe going back into something,
yeah.
you can be like, yo, you changed, and I had to decide if I was ready to change with you, and I did.
Ooh.
And now you're coming full circle like, no, you made me change. I had to keep you in mind when we went out to restaurants. I had to keep you in mind when we did this. Because remember, you know, you and I are kind of going through that when I got the pre-diabetes thing. And then even as well, like when you figured out like, oh, it's gluten, like that was a whole thing. We had to figure out what it meant to eat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also coming at it from that end of just like, I can see how it could be hard because, yeah, you're like, I done put in the work, bro, and now you backsliding. And this wasn't even my choice to begin with.
Right. I guess the topic seemed controversial, but you know, in this age of people trying to accept themselves, people not and failing at it,
Yeah.
I think it's hard. And I'm sure that there's no shortage of people watching the video that are also suffering through something similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whatever makes you happy is fine, so long as no one else is getting hurt.
Yeah.
But no one has to accept you in that state.
And that's a tough truth to like live with,
Right.
or just acknowledge. Like, there is a limit for everyone.
Relationships are just two. It's a voluntary agreement that two individuals are going to be together for a period of time.
Right.
Whether that is till death, whether that is till, 4 years from now, 4 minutes from now. It is what it is. But there's no guarantee that you will stay there.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
Yeah. Let us know how it goes.
Best of luck.
Yeah, let us
Truthfully,
know.
for
Yeah.
you both, whether that's, again, together or separate.
Yeah. Well, y'all stumble well.
I'm going to break and say again, or ask again,
Oh.
please, if you too want, I guess it is technically solicited advice
It is solicited.
from two non-professionals who
Yeah.
have no business weighing in on your relationships,
No business whatsoever.
we will keep you completely anonymous.
As always.
We will be as respectful as possible,
As possible.
unless you want us to rip into the other person, in which case give us a little bit of insight as to why.
Sure. Yeah. Paint us a word picture
Right.
in the email.
We don't want to be shooting on your behalf or, fighting your battles on your behalf unless it's warranted.
Yeah.
But please, drop us a line
Yeah.
at hello@stumblewell.com.
Yeah.
Stumble on.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.